Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron, and welcome into the first preseason preview episode. And I have Johnny PayPal with me. And Johnny PayPal, football is back. How does it feel?
It feels good. I was getting just happy just hearing you say that, just that football is basically here. I think we get more excited than any other people about the preseason game. Because, we know our Bears, and I love seeing this team come together and kind of all these little matchups that you kind of have to find and see who's going to win these battles between positions.
For sure. And I know, these are actually my favorite episodes to do because I think that we do the best job out there on these because preseason can be boring. And we know this. So what we are going to be breaking down today is who to watch for. So get your pens, get your paper out. Also, I'll post this out on social media at Unbearable Sports. What we're going to be seeing is we're going to talk about who to watch and also their numbers. So even into the fourth quarter, there's people that you should be paying attention to. So we're going to give you all the people out there that you need to see. So make sure to stay tuned. But also, we are just going to go through some news just to kind of kickstart this episode. Now, Johnny, there's only one thing that we've seen so far. Now we have the news and headlines so far. Loads of people out, and for those watching, you can see the biggest news that's out there right now, and that is one Roquan Smith. But we'll go into that a little bit later on, but the loads of people out. What I mean by that is today, as in Wednesday, Kyler Gordon was out. Velus Jones Jr. was out. Byron Pringle was out. David Moore was out. Duke Shelley was out. Kendall Vildor, Tavon Young, Thomas Graham Jr., Crookshank, David Montgomery, Noah Dawkins. We have Patrick, our center, Davenport, O'Shaughnessy, Griffin, Komet, Pettis, Blackson, and Mario Edwards Jr.
Take a breath, Brad. Take a breath. Jeez.
That's crazy. The amount of people that we have out is nuts. And so hopefully it's just let's just give them a rest day and they can come back. But still we have a Lucas Patrick, not Equanimeous St. Brown, a N'Keal Harry that I don't even know if he was listed in that. But N'Keal Harry's not going to be here for a while as well. So there's a lot of people out. So hopefully this is just a rest day.
Yeah, let's hope, because it's that's the thing I was worried about with, this whole run these guys a bunch, all this conditioning, these very hard practices is the injuries. I mean, we even had a pretty injured roster last year, and I feel like the practices were pretty nonchalant, and these have been a lot more intense. So, yeah, hopefully, like you said, it's just a rest day.
And I feel too, it looks like the major, the more hardcore injuries, like a Moore and a Harry, that's going on with the wide receiver. So maybe it's just with them, not necessarily with the rest of the team. But when you have a huge list, something's going on. Something might be wrong with some of the conditioning or something like that. So another little highlight, we'll definitely cover a lot of these players when we kind of break down this list, but the offense looked better today. And it seems like, Blake, every time that you're on, Mr. PayPal, then the offense is looking better. When we reviewed the training camp, offense was looking better. And now that was kind of the news today as well. But the biggest news that we saw today and yesterday, we haven't broken it down yet, but Roquan Smith got activated from the PUP list. Now, basically this entire Roquan Smith saga, breaking it down, Roquan Smith posts something out on Twitter saying, I demand a trade, pretty much. I have been talking with the Bears since April and they have disrespected me and I want to trade. And then Ryan Poles, bless him, he goes out there and actually basically is saying hey, listen, we gave him an offer that would be the highest paid. And he didn't say it that bluntly, but it kind of slipped out. And, you could tell that he was disappointed. And I give him kudos for going out and speaking up. And then now, today, we see that the Bears take him off of the PUP list. Now he has to practice. And if he doesn't practice, he gets fined $40,000 every practice. And little news that came through on ESPN 1000, Adam Schefter was on, I don't know what show it was on ESPN 1000, but was reported saying that the Bears showed this offer to other people out there, and people are saying, quote, it's a damn good offer. And so to me, this is looking like Roquan Smith. Why are you the agent in this? Because it sounds like Ryan Poles is doing his due diligence a little bit. I guess
Yeah.
what's your take, PayPal?
Yeah, I think I was totally like when I saw the notification on my phone, I was with my girlfriend. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is heartbreaking." Like, wait, like he's out of here. Like this is so sad. Like what a Bears franchise thing to do, just get rid of our best player. Cuz I was just thinking, in his message it seemed like, you know, Ryan Poles is just kind of kicking him out of there, sounding like he just wants basically his guys to be on this team now, not the Nagy and kind of the previous coaches people. But yeah, hearing that, it's like Roquan. Like, what are you thinking? Like, I agree with Ryan Poles. Like, I'm so glad he's kind of standing up for what he's doing. And even though Roquan's a star on this team, he's like, you still have to act like everyone else on this team, you know?
Yeah. And obviously we don't know the details yet of like what the potential offers might have been, but we're hearing that it sounds like it could be the most out of a linebacker, but also something that was included as well is I believe there's like de-escalators where you have that for other like bad players, but you don't have that for elite players. So this would be the first ever 15 plus million that would have these de-escalators in it. So
Mm.
that is something that he's kind of stood up and said like, hey, this is why I don't like this. They're trying to trick me. But it sounds like everything, the more details that come out, it sounds like they're not trying to trick him. They're trying to pay the guy. But we know how Ryan Poles is. Like my first impression too was I go back to Ryan Bates, the guard that the Bears they offered like $3 million a year, $4 million a year for a starting guard that they wanted, and the Bills were like, "Yeah, we'll just match this." So my initial reaction was, "Is Poles just being cheap again?" But it sounds like Poles might be a little cheap, but it sounds like he's giving him what he should be getting because no matter what it is, linebackers seem to be just kind of on the decline on if you should pay them. Do I agree with it? No. I think that linebacker is the most important position, Bob, probably on that defense
Mhm.
because of how difficult tight ends and running backs are to cover. And here you have Roquan Smith who can run with them and cover them. So we'll see. If he gets traded, he gets traded. If he doesn't, welcome back. And then I hope we just franchise him so that we could get something for him
Yeah,
next year.
Fred, I don't know if he gets traded. I honestly don't care how much we get. I would be devastated, to be honest, because he's a once in a lifetime like type of player, and it just seems like he does everything right. He seems great person, great leader, amazing football player. It's just he'd be such a great person to have, just like this face of this defense. And if he's out, it's like, who's the leader now? Like Bojack, and he's not been he's been controversial, obviously. So it's hopefully he can stay.
And with the new regime too, that's where I don't like the idea of it because with the new regime, it's you kind of shake your head because you are going in and you can't re-sign your star player. You can't get this deal done. Now everybody
Mhm.
thinks this is a cheap organization. I don't like these new people that are coming in. We would have been paid in the old regime. They paid Eddie Jackson. Like they would have paid Roquan in a heartbeat. You trade
Yeah.
away Mac. If you trade him away, I don't know how this team is going to function or how this team is going to treat that. So I I will say too, like from a Moneyball perspective, I just I don't hate it if you get a good return back, but it sounds like you wouldn't get a good return if you traded him. I know a lot of Bears fans are saying 2 firsts. We're not going to get 2 firsts. If we do, awesome. Like chances are we're not going to get 2 first. So edge rusher is valued higher than middle linebacker, whether we like it or not. And also Khalil Mack was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Right now, I don't think people outside of Chicago are saying Roquan Smith is a for sure Hall of Famer like they were Khalil Mack, who had a defensive player of the year under his belt and probably like 4 Pro Bowls. When here we have a guy that the public is not voting into the Pro Bowl. And so it's the public perception of how good is this player that's kind of troublesome. But last little bit of news before we get into the preseason preview, the Bears released their first depth chart. This is my advice. Don't look too much into this. I think it's interesting, but I see some people like, I can't believe that this person's all the way down there. It's like Thomas Graham's injured. But when I see this depth chart, to me, what jumps out is Equanimeous St. Brown as your number 2 wide receiver next to Darnell Mooney. It's not a big surprise. It just kind of confirms. A lot of this, I feel, confirms what we are seeing in training camp. Braxton Jones appears to be the best left tackle. He's the starting left tackle. Latavius Pig Simmons was lining up as the second string left guard. He's marked in as the second string left guard. St. Brown, we loved, and what you know, he's second. Anything stand out for you, JPP, on this?
I was looking at the defensive end, and I'm still shocked that Caleb Johnson is third string and Jack Sanborn is second, you know? Like I don't remember exactly who Noah Dawkins is. I remember actually seeing some plays from him, I believe. Was he the guy I think we were like, "Oh my gosh, this guy could just cover anybody."
No, that was CJ Avery who got cut.
Oh yeah, CJ Avery.
I'm laughing because when we broke down the training camp, you hated Noah Dawkins. With a passion.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And Jack Sanborn was the guy that we didn't see do well out there. Like we know the guy can't cover. And Jack Sanborn is listed at second string. Noah Dawkins is listed at second string, along with Matt Adams, which I was a little surprised at because he got a lot of the 1 reps. But Joe Thomas is actually listed as the starting Sam linebacker. That to me is kind of big news because that's someone no one is talking about. Or if they do, it's like, Joe Thomas might actually be kind of good. And that's about it. But the only other thing that I thought was really interesting, 2 things real quick. So Trevis Gipson as the starting defensive end. Here's Al-Quadin Muhammad coming in from the Colts, and Trevis Gipson's in that starting spot. And Al-Quadin Muhammad, the backup for Robert Quinn, but also Micah Treadway, second string defensive tackle behind Angelo Blackson. That is someone that we were not expecting. I think we were expecting Mike Pennell to be the second string with a Kairos Tonga because Kairos Tonga is the other second string. LaCale London, Trayvon Coley, the guy that they just signed, all those guys are backups, but Micah Treadway as the second string defensive tackle. Anything that you see with this defensive side, though?
Yeah, besides the linebackers and everything, on this, the special teams is when I see something, actually, Brad. I don't know if you're going to go through that.
I was not planning on it, but yeah, we got to go through special teams.
Yeah, how could you forget? Tristan Ebner. I'm still surprised I don't see him up there for any of even punt return. I was thinking of seeing him because Khalil Herbert did a pretty good job last year of consistently getting at least kind of that 25, 30 yards, I'd say. So I'm not surprised there. But punt returning, I was so surprised not to even see him in there for punt returning. Like, when we were seeing at training camp, he is so fast, and it seems like he's able to just find the right holes and stuff like that. So really surprised they're not trying to use him, in the special teams.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of hope that this is just the first depth chart, and I think that's where you're seeing your starting kick returners, Khalil Herbert, starting punt returners, Dazz Newsome. Dazz has looked good in camp, And Khalil Herbert, like you said, the consistency. But Treston Ebner, yeah, fourth string kick returner. We've seen what he's been able to do at Baylor. And we saw it at training camp. Like you said, he's got the speed. So it's just, yet again, this is just the first thing out there. And we'll kind of move on from it. But just keep in mind that this is just the first depth chart. Don't take away too much, but there's still some things that kind of stick out with it. But let's move on to the preseason preview. So this is what I'm excited about. We have a game coming up with the Kansas City Chiefs. And if anyone is watching this as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, we're actually going to say probably nothing about the Kansas City Chiefs, except you guys have Matt Nagy. So I might be drinking every time that they show Matt Nagy on the sidelines. I don't know who else is, but every time they show him, I'll be like, hey, there's a drink. Let's do this.
Yeah, I don't care how much you lose by. It'll just be so funny seeing him on another team, and I'm just poor you guys.
Yeah,
Take
like
them.
Exactly. And so basically, let me break down how we kind of think about the preseason. So it doesn't matter if we win or lose. It really doesn't. It means absolutely nothing. You could go undefeated and you could still suck. So when you break down the preseason, it's all about the people. So who do you look for and who looks good while they're out there? So that's why we're going to be breaking down who to watch in the first string, second string, and the third string. And basically, third string is kind of like all the crappy players. But who should you keep an eye out for and why? So, hey, pal, you get to start off with the offense. So, your first string players to watch. So, we're kind of thinking that these guys are going to be playing maybe a couple series, maybe all of the first quarter. We don't know how Eberflus is going to run this. So, who are your players to watch with this first string offense?
Yeah, I gotta go Justin Fields. It seems like he's been having kind of an up and down training camp so far. You see kind of these, you know, this highlights, you kind of are like, okay, that's a normal throw. You're just like, okay, that's a good throw, nothing too crazy. And then you see some videos of him overthrowing targets. I just saw one, I think yesterday, of him overthrowing a guy that was wide open in the end zone, and the guy was open for, you know, 3 seconds, which is a long time, and did not connect with them. So hopefully, he's able to have a good game and see progress from last year, and maybe get a touchdown the first drive. Um, so that's the number one guy. I think everyone obviously knows who he is, kind of has high expectations for him, all that jazz. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I don't know if you want to say about him.
and one thing too, just for the people watching out there on YouTube, everybody that's in yellow is someone that we overlapped on. And yeah, Justin Fields is out there for me too. Obviously, number one, you all know his number when he's out there. But yeah, like we just want to see they're not going to be running the offense specifically. They're not going to be running the exact Luke Getsy offense. But I remember when Matt Nagy went out there in a preseason game, the offense looked different. You at least kind of see the general style that this offense is going to run. And yeah, like look for the accuracy and look to see, is he getting rid of it on time or is he still a tick slow? But who else do you got on your list?
Yeah, next one I had, I think I might have to get a jersey. His is Curry Blazing Game. I always loved his name from the Titans, and when we got him, I was so hyped. But he has been looking excellent. Like, I don't know about his running game yet. I think I was listening to your podcast, the other week ago, and you're saying how he's never had a rushing touchdown. Very interesting to me, because like you can see, he's a very good receiver for a fullback. For this big guy, he is very shifty, able to get separation, and has really good hands for this big bowling ball of a man. Um, so yeah, I'm interested to see just how he's fit into this offense. I mean, you never know what a fullback is going to do. Like, is he going to be playing as a tight end, or is he only going to be playing in the backfield? Um, because he's a freak of an athlete. So
Yeah. And number 35 for those keeping track. I thought it was crazy that you had a fullback, but you mentioned tight end. So there's going to be a common theme that I know because I've gone through and built these graphics. So this is the first tight end on your list.
Yes. And we'll go second tight end again. Why not? Keep going tight end. But I still am keeping an eye out at Cole Kmet. Like, from what I'm hearing, I'm not convinced that he should be the number 1 tight end. I don't know if that's a hot topic, but like
Whew.
the way that the other tight ends are playing and how consistent they are, like I couldn't see why not. Like, I get it's Cole Kmet, but like you see Ryan Griffin, you see O'Shaughnessy, and they're playing consistent ball with like their hands, especially like Cole Kmet. He's very inconsistent with his hands. Had the most drops, or right, most drops last year. Or like very
Like
high number of
7th,
drops.
yeah. Yep.
Yes, very high. It just shouldn't be for a quote unquote like future star tight end. So hopefully he can just kind of be that guy that we want, get separation, not be scared of this contact while he's on the receiving end of the ball. And yeah, like that's what I'm looking for.
Awesome. And last guy.
Yeah, last guy, I am doing EQ St. Brown. Number 19. I was not shocked when he was kind of named the starter or in the first string offense. He looked so good in training camp. Big guy. Yeah, I mean, he's very fast. I want to see his speed. I want to see a deep ball from him because I've kind of seen those. Hopefully, we can see his speed. Maybe a jump ball, something exciting.
Yeah, sounds good. And like, yeah, I have Equanimeous St. Brown on mine as well, like for the same stuff. And I think the big thing is to have people see what he actually looks like out there. Because, yeah, like if you didn't make it out to training camp, you're like, why is everybody hyping up this guy? He's not going to be the next greatest wide receiver, but he's looking good. And that's why he actually rounds out my list. I have one other person that's on it. And I can't believe you didn't have him on your list. You gotta see the rookie, Braxton Jones. Like number 70, Braxton Jones. I can't wait to see him out there because when you see him in some of the camp highlights, every time that there's a camp highlight, I'm looking for number 70 on that left tackle spot. And I'm looking at him going, how good is this guy going to look? And what is he looking like with blocking? And I can't wait to see him against competition in a real game. And because he might be the starting left tackle. And I know a lot of people don't like it when you start a rookie, but he's showing that he deserves to be out there and he deserves to be that guy. So hopefully he can prove to us because he might be the future at left tackle.
That's a good one, Brad. I forgot about him. I mean, especially Larry Borom. He seemed like he did a pretty. I mean, he did a good job for a rookie last year for what, 5th round pick. And yeah, I was surprised that he was beat pretty quick, with not even the preseason starting.
Yeah, he went from starting left tackle to starting right tackle to backup right tackle to backup left tackle. And I think the good part about that is Larry Borom can be your swing tackle. He's done it before. He's had success with it, and he's doing it right now in camp. So going on to the next string. So that's kind of the that's kind of like the first string offense, people to watch. And I think because like the running backs, it's fun to watch, but and you might want to see what the running game kind of looks like. But to me, it's like Braxton Jones. I want to see what this entire offensive line looks like. When you have the starters in, what does Michael Schofield, number 64, look like? Riley Reiff, number 78. What does that offense and how does that offensive line block? I think that's just kind of cheating here. The offensive line is going to be something to watch with this first team. But let's flip over to the defense with this first team. So this is all about like when you're in the first quarter, who should you be watching? And this defense to me is going to be the big, the defensive side is going to be big. So we have Justin Jones starting out, and we both have this guy. And I think the biggest thing is I just want to see what he looks like. I just want to see him going against actual competition? Is it our defensive interior guys that don't look good, or is he actually that good? So number 3 on that number 93 on that defensive line, I can't wait to see him at that 3 technique. And is he going to be able to really kind of make a name for himself and impress some people? And Blake, I know that you had him on your list as well. What are you looking for with Justin Jones?
Yeah, I'm basing the same thing. I mean, he's kind of the unknown guy at number 93. It's just, yeah, it's all unknown to me, which I'm just excited to see. You hear all these good things about him in camp, and yeah, is it going to kind of go into this preseason and really, is he going to contribute and be that number one guy that we were kind of hoping for and kind of doubtful with, but we're hoping for that he can be that solid number one without Akeem Hicks anymore.
For sure. And so going to the next, I'm sticking on this line, and you didn't have this guy, but I have him. Trevis Gibson, who's out there. And this is where, like, with the defensive ends, you're going to see them kind of swap out. So Trevis Gibson, we saw him take a huge jump last year. Remember his rookie year? Dude did not play at all. And here is number 99. Right now, he's penciled in as the starting defensive end. And I think they're really just going to be switching him and Muhammad all around and just kind of getting some fresh bodies out there. But I want to see, does he take that next step to kind of just showcase how good he is at that defensive end spot, and a reason why they might have felt like they could get rid of a Khalil Mack, because right now the defensive ends are looking good in camp. Now, next little group of people, I just put linebackers. And we both had these linebackers out there. Since we most likely will not have Roquan Smith out there, he might be able to play because he's off the PUP list, but it's something to at least monitor. But I'm looking at Nicholas Morrow, number 53, and Matt Adams, number 44. Matt Adams, even though that he's not technically the starter with a Joe Thomas, I think that Matt Adams, you want to see what he's got out there. You want to see kind of how he's playing. So Matt Adams, 44, or I guess you could even throw in a Joe Thomas, number 45, if he's out there. But the linebacker group is definitely something to watch because it's completely overhauled without Ogletree, without Trevathan. Morrow and Adams are the ones that are out there. Now, PayPal, I know you had them as well.
Yeah, I think I probably out of the defense, I think this is probably the most, maybe the most back and forth where it's like you could see, some of these guys kind of go up and down in the depth chart. Maybe I completely agree. I mean, I would even add Joe Thomas, yeah, because I mean I was shocked to see him in the first string. Like, who is this guy? So, yeah, what's his number? We got to look out for him. It's
Number 45 is
45.
Joe
So
Thomas. Yep.
yeah, so look up for 44, 45. I mean, Matt Adams, he looks, when we watched, he looked good at camp. Nicholas Morrow, he's the guy. I'm still waiting to see all this hype about him. Like I
Yeah.
see, I want to hear all of his like speed. You hear about his speed and kind of his aggressiveness when he plays. And I wanna be able to see that kind of. You're not able to see that when he's not tackling anyone in practice. So hopefully, when the pads are on in an actual game,
Yep.
you kind of see him flying out there and see that lightweight speed linebacker you want to see.
Exactly. So hopefully he can bring that, and hopefully with him, if he is the captain, what does this defense look like? This is the first dose.
Mhm.
And I know our defense, this is where we just jammed a bunch of people in here because there's so many people to watch out for. And the back end, the secondary is always difficult to watch, I feel, but something that you can definitely watch is where is Kyler Gordon lining up? Our rookie out of Washington, number 6. I want to see, is he the slot? Is he the outside? Where exactly is he showing up? What I'd love to see is if they go out in a base defense, so base 4-3 with 2 corners, is he your outside guy? And then when they go to nickel, does he then switch inside? Because that would be glorious. That would be amazing because then you have your best guys out there at all times. So I just want to see where does he line up and how does he look? And it's something that you can actually watch on your TV screen. Where is number 6 lining up with his long poofy hair as well? You can see that as too. But the only other person that I want to bring up in that secondary is Jaquan Brisker, number 9. And yet again, safeties are the hardest position to watch on a normal screen, but he should maybe be coming a little bit down in the box. But also, every practice, it seems like he makes a splash play. I wouldn't be shocked if he makes a splash play next game. But
Mhm.
JPP, let's go over to your list to see, because we have a lot of in common ones now,
Yes.
but there's 2 that are definitely different.
Yeah. Number 9, Jaquan Brisker. Look out for him. Number 9. Angelo Blackson. I'm looking at number 90, Angelo Blackson, man in the middle. Can he is he that number 1 material? Like, I'm still unsure about him with that. Because I would not be surprised if Blackson does not play well, if Tonga kind of fills that role, because you kind of just want those big body guys. I don't know how we're going to be able to stop the run, like if it's going to be efficient, if it's going to be good. Um, Besides Andrew Blackson and kind of my doubts on him, I'm excited to see Al-Quadin Muhammad. Heard a lot of good things about him. And with Robert Quinn kind of leading away, maybe like later in the season, is Al-Quadin Muhammad, is he going to be able to be that starter and kind of, play in the future for us?
And I think too, just like adding on to that, I think Al-Quadin Muhammad also has, we haven't seen a lot about him. And everybody's talking that he should look a lot, he should look good. He should look good out there. So I'm excited to see these edges. Like the edges, the defensive line for the first string. I think where we're getting at is that front 7 is something,
Yeah.
front 7 besides Roquan Smith. I mean, Robert Quinn, unless you actually both of them pretty much, because there's
Yeah.
so many newcomers and there's so many question marks that we just want to be able to see. We just want to be able to identify. So definitely watch out for those people. But anything you want to say about the first strings before we go into your next one?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, it's a lot of new faces. So, I mean, just literally just like study up on the names. I mean, I felt so lost at training camp this year of like, who are all these different numbers? Who are all these names? Like, you know, there was what was his name? There's that one guy on defense. He's not Akeem. There's a guy that his last
Oh
name was
yeah,
Hicks, and we're like,
Elijah
okay,
Hicks.
like Elijah Hicks, and he's what, a safety, and we're like, oh wow, Akeem Hicks lost like over like 150 pounds,
Look at all
like
that.
yeah, okay, like yeah, he's trying a new position this year, so
Yeah,
but
so now this is where like the second string defense. We've already talked a little bit about this because I think there's going to be some bleed over with this. And maybe these guys
mhm.
come out in the second string like in the second quarter, kind of second third. But keep an eye out for this second string. So JPP, we'll start with you. Who do you have on your watch list?
Yeah, I mean, I just talked about this guy, Kyrie's Tonga. I'll get him out of the way. Number 95, or just one of the guys with floofy hair, and just all these crazy tattoos. Um, I'm excited to see him. I think I did not think he was going to kind of be on this team last year when he drafted him. He just kind of seemed like that, he's this big, Samoan guy, so might as well just draft him. And then, yeah, he looks pretty solid. Is he going to be able to be that run stuffer that he's kind of been known for? I always liked his energy that he played with too. He just kind of high energy guy.
Yeah.
You always love having someone that actually tries out there, because we been on the other end with Goldman, and he just didn't seem like he would try out there sometimes. Um, and with someone with high energy, I love my boy Mario Edwards Jr. He's always so exciting to watch. Number 97. it's going to be interesting to see him. Is he going to be, D tackle, D end? I personally think he would be more D end, kind of the outside, but I guess we'll see him at D tackle. I never really thought of him in the trenches like that, but
He is listed on the depth chart now as a defensive end. And I know before that he was always listed as a D tackle. He's kind of
yeah.
that weird tweener. So like you said, it's going to be interesting to see where he lines up. I would love to see him as like a third down pass specialist. Just
Yeah.
pin your ears back, go after the quarterback, because it seems like that's something that he would be very good at.
Yeah, he's just one of those high motor guys. Like he'll be in one play and he'll get a sack. Like he'll get a stat that one play that he's in. But then I think last year when he would play more snaps, you're like, okay, this is why he's not really a starter. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, Dominique Robinson is another guy on the list, number 91. They talk so highly of him, and I mean, when I went to training camp, I was not super excited to see him, but I want to see, in a game setting, not just in training camp, is he going to be able to beat these blockers and actually maybe show some moves, pass rushing and stuff? Is he going to get stuck on blocks? Is he going to be able to block shed in the run game? Kind of all those kind of more experienced and not just, wow, this guy's tall and big. Can he actually do
Yeah.
stuff?
I had Kairos Tonga and Dominique Robinson both on mine, and that's the only overlap we have with the second string players. And yeah, like Dominique Robinson, we know that he's a project player. And how good is he going to look when he's out there? Because everybody said it. Well, just wait till pads come on, then he's going to get blocked. Well, pads came on, and today was another day that a lot of people were impressed by Dominique Robinson. To me, like literally, if you're watching the game, just look for number 91 on the defensive end. And I feel like you're going to just enjoy preseason because you just watch him and you'll be like, yep, that's the guy I'm supposed to watch because he seems to have all the traits that you need. But if he doesn't do well, then yeah, we'll take him off the list.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, the two, I guess, like you've been saying, the harder to
Yeah.
watch ones is always the secondary. But Tavon Young, if he's healthy, I would love to see kind of who is this guy. He looks really fast. He looks like a great slot guy. I don't think we're gonna see him outside of the slot because he's pretty small, but seems really fast. Is he gonna cover well? He's just kind of one of those new guys I would love to see.
And
Lamar Jack.
one thing real quick about Tavon Young too, we have him listed in the second string, but the biggest reason why we have him listed in the second string is we don't know what the heck is going to happen
Yeah.
because right now Kendall Vildor has been playing as the starter, and so because he's kind of lining up as the starter and Tavon Young is lining up as the nickel and the slot, Kyler Gordon is the slot and Tavon Young is the backup. When is 25 going to be out there, Tavon Young? And that's just something. Yeah, like I agree. I don't know why he's not on my list, but yeah, he's going to be someone definitely interesting to see if he even plays.
And yeah, it's interesting with that whole the injuries right now. But Lamar Jackson, number 23, not obviously the quarterback, but Lamar Jackson, the cornerback. He's someone I was like, okay, he's gonna get cut. Like it just seems like one of those guys. Like, okay, he has like a really popular name. No way there could be another good Lamar Jackson, But turns out like he is actually like doing pretty
Yeah.
well, and he's made his way up to the second string, which is impressive to say the least. I mean, we have a very competitive cornerback room, and he's made his way up. I don't know, is he kind of more of a physical corner? Is he kind of this, what's his play style, I guess? All I know is he's a fun guy to play with. All these guys on the team love playing with him, and he's got this high energy. So always love that about him.
Definitely. And I feel like Lamar Jackson might be on my list as well. But yeah, like I agree with Nomad. When you see Lamar Jackson out there, I really liked him when when we signed him, he's just got a lot of traits. He's a traitsy guy. But PayPal, you want to wind it down with your final second string, the hardest guy to watch on the field, as we've already previously established.
Yeah, I don't know what my thing is with like past Tennessee Titans players, but like first blazing game. But I love Dane Cruikshank. I don't know why when we signed him, I just loved it. But I'm excited to see him like play. He's known for being very athletic. But I did not get to see him during training camp. He's been kind of injured. So yeah, what is he gonna do? Will he even play number 29, Cruikshank? Yeah, I want to just see all these unknowns and just kind of see is he good for this team.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't put your boy DHC out there, but yeah, still like it's nice to we already know that DHC is going to ball out. Like that's a fact out there. Even though he's kind of like fighting for a roster spot a little bit, like just to kind of prove himself. We'll kind of go through some of the backup safeties as well. Spoiler alert, but I think though overall though he should at least try and show what he can do. But yeah, so let's actually go to my defensive players to watch. I totally forgot I thought that I had Lamar Jackson, and I do. So Kyrus Tonga 95, Dominique Robinson 91, Lamar Jackson 23, and these are like asterisk people because they could be starters this year, and they're pretty much like kind of listed as your starters. Kindle Vildor, number 22. We love to hate him, but everyone's saying that they like his physicalness. They like him in this more simple system where he doesn't have to like think so much. I'm not calling him dumb, but it's a simpler defense. I want to see, does he look different? Or is it the same old Kindle Vildor? And every time that we say his name, our blood pressure rises a little bit. If there was Vecna, we would instantly die for those that watch Stranger Things. Like we're traumatized by what he did. And Joe Thomas, though, number 45, like we said, he might be out there with the starters as the Sam linebacker because we don't know if Roquan Smith is actually going to be starting out there. So Joe Thomas, number 45, is someone to be looking out for at that linebacker position because he could be the starter for you at that Sam linebacker position. But now let's go to the second string for the offense. And my theme for this is offensive line. When the second string, when you see Justin Fields out, basically my entire theme for the offense is I'm looking at the line. For one, it's easy as heck to watch. And two, there's a lot of moving pieces on this offensive line. So what am I looking for? I'm looking for Ja'Tyre Carter, number 69 at the right guard spot. He's your second string right guard. He's had snaps with the first team. Yeah, it might be because number 64, Michael Schofield, was new. But I want to see what he looks like against NFL competition because I've seen him get absolute bulldozed, but I've also seen him make some really good blocks. So what is he actually capable of? Probably going against second stringers. Now, next guy is Doug Kramer, number 68 at center, marked as the third string center behind Lucas Patrick and Sam Mustipher. But I want to see what Doug Kramer has. We both talked about this, PayPal, when we saw Kramer. Like, that guy is tiny. Like, you see all these huge offensive linemen and little Doug Kramer out there. The dude looks like a long snapper. And size was his question, and we got answered that he's small. But if you're a small center, that's the position to be. If he was a tackle, we'd be like, yeah, there's no way in heck he's going to be on this team. But I want to see what he's got because he's a smart player. 5-year starter, I believe. Just a very smart guy out there that I just want to see what he's going to be able to accomplish. Now, the last guy on this offensive line, I'm actually going to kind of cheat and say Larry Borom, number 75, and Teven Jenkins, number 76. Literally just watch this offensive line when they're out there because why did they hate Larry Borom? Did Larry Borom all of a sudden take a step back? Does he not look good in this offense? Or Teven Jenkins, like, what does he look like? And how long is he actually going to be out there? So 75 and 76. PayPal, anything that you have to say about this offensive line?
Yeah, I want to see Teven Jenkins. I think he's the number one. I'm like what's up with him? Like I think I was expecting him to be kind of a first string maybe this year. Like after his back surgery, all that stuff. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be all fine. He's this absolute beast we got in the second round. He's gonna be a starter next year. And now we are here, and it's very questionable. So hopefully, you know, hopefully his weight and all that stuff is fine, and maybe he will be that starter. But I feel like he's always kind of known as the best person on our offensive line or the most talented. So hopefully we can see this talent against second stringers, you know.
And two, like you see it in practice. People are saying Teven Jenkins does amazing. Then all of a sudden he sucks. And that might be
Yeah.
why they're kind of like, hey, listen, we don't want like it. We want somebody who's consistent. And Teven Jenkins, it either it's like he's bulldozing the line or he's getting beat, which you kind of don't want out of your offensive lineman, like completely cooked. So also another thing too, just about Teven Jenkins, watch to see if he lines up at guard. That's something that I'm just looking out for because if he wants to make this roster, I don't think that the Bears are going to roster 4 tackles unless they really, really, really want him out there and they really are like, listen, we can't trade him and we don't want to put him on practice squad. We don't want to cut him. Look to see if Teven Jenkins, number 76, plays a little bit on at the guard spot. So to me, when Justin Fields leaves, when Braxton Jones is gone, look at this offensive line because that's going to be so important. But then also a couple other things, a couple other players to watch too. Treston frickin' Ebner, running back number 31. He might be out there with the ones. He might be out there with the 2s, the 3s. We don't know. He's listed as the 3rd string running back because he's impressed at the beginning of camp, did not. The more and more and more he plays, the more and more and more people seem to enjoy him. So look for number 31, blazing speed out there. So I'm looking for him. PayPal, I know that you have him on your list as well. What are you thinking about Ebner?
Yeah, I think he's kind of maybe that like gadget guy that we like the new Tariq Cohen almost in a way of like we might try to find any way we can to use this guy in the offense. I mean, I kind of said it with Blazing Game a little bit, because I think Blazing Game is very talented, but Blazing Game. But Tristan Ebner, I think, who knows? We might see him. Honestly, he might line up as a wide receiver. Maybe I'm crazy for that, but like he's known for being a receiving back. And I mean, when I saw him in training camp, when we both saw him in training camp, he was just cooking all the linebackers. Like a linebacker has no chance about guarding him, in the backfield. So
I think
I'm so excited for him too.
I think another thing interesting about Ebner is that a lot of people are already discounting him and saying he's not a running back. Kind of like the Tariq Cohen treatment, saying Tariq Cohen's not a running back. Treston Ebner's not a running back. He's just a weapon. He's not going to be anything else. So I want to see, like, the preseason is perfect to see, is he actually a running back or is he just a trickster in the backfield? And another thing too, another person, Tajae Sharpe. Unfortunately, number 88 might be our starting wide receiver or one of the starting wide receivers with the ones. But Tajae Sharpe was out, physically could not perform. But then all of a sudden, we're starting to hear Tajae Sharpe making some plays out there. And he's kind of making a name for himself. I kind of wrote him off because we didn't hear anything. He was injured. You hear the other wide receivers. But Tajae Sharpe has been making plays. Definitely something to look out for. And Jeremy makes a really, really good point out here. So, yeah, Coach Flus has preached this time and time again, trying the different combinations out there. They're trying to see who are the best players out there. They want their best 5, and they truly mean that. So that's where if you're looking at a Larry Borom, looking at a Teven Jenkins, that's something to watch out for because they want the best 5. And the only person that doesn't seem like they're really moving around is Braxton Jones at that left tackle spot. I think he might have taken a couple snaps at right tackle, but they're really kind of giving the rookie his reps at that left tackle spot. But PayPal, who do you have on this is your run of tight ends for the second string.
I'm not your previous guest. Shout out to Michael. I don't forget what his last name is, but Michael from The Bachelor. But
Clay Harbor.
Clay Harbor. I always think it's Michael. Oh, sorry, Clay Harbor. Hopefully he's not listening. But I mean, I was really intrigued when he was talking about the tight ends the other day.
Yeah.
I truly want to see just who is kind of this official tight end to Ryan Griffin or James O'Shaughnessy. And I wonder if Justin Fields has kind of a connection with one of them, because we saw that last year we had Jesse James. And even though Jesse James was like our third string tight end, it seemed like whenever Jesse James was out there running a route, like he had this special connection with Justin Fields. And I mean, we saw it last year, and I wonder if that we'll kind of see that again. And yeah, I mean, they both seem solid, great tight ends that just do the job. And that's why, I mean, I say it again, like I hate saying it, but I really think Cole Kmet's starting job is kind of on the hot seat.
Get out of here.
I don't like him as the first string tight end.
Get out of here.
I know the comments are going to be going crazy on that one.
Comments go after.
But
never again will you be on the show. No.
But you see, yeah, but we'll see.
No, I get what you're talking about with Cole Kmet. Like some of because like you were mentioning, when Clay was on here as a former tight end, he's given a lot of expertise on this, saying Cole Kmet's not using his body, he's using his speed. Like, dude, use your body. You're huge.
Yeah.
Like, do something like that. Gain the experience. He doesn't have the experience that you want, but hopefully that's where it's like that hope. Can he take it to the next level? Can he be dependable? Because we're hearing that, yeah, Griffin and O'Shaughnessy aren't sexy players, but they're making solid plays. They're contributors. They're football players. They're doing good things out there with the ball. So PayPal, now we are in the best spot. We are in the third string, and please describe why you chose every single tight end to watch for on your offensive players to watch.
Yeah, I think I had Jake Tongas, just watch him get cut, basically. But Rice and John and Chase Allen, I'm mainly excited to see Rice and John. He has all this potential that we keep talking about. Huge, like massive guy, like just huge. He's literally just got the ideal football body, especially as a tight end. And I mean, we talked about it. It's just like he is a receiving guy first. Like we know he can catch the ball. We know he can run routes, but then it's just, can he block? So I wonder if he's going to be kind of that what's his name? Jesper Horsted.
Yeah,
kind of like a Jesper Horsted or something. It's like he only is out there to catch as a tight end. Like he is a terrible blocker, but he can really catch and just sticky hands. And I mean, I would not be surprised though too if he is someone that we see on the practice squad. Either way, I really think he's going to kind of stay on this team. No, even though he's kind of on that other category, third string, fourth string, I could see him sticking at least maybe in the practice squad if he doesn't make the roster.
Yeah, I see where you're getting at with some of the tight ends, because especially we just did a purge of tight ends. Like all these tight ends are different out there. So yeah, 87 Rice and John, 47 Chase Allen, 46 Jake Tongas. I'm going to just do a quick little, if anyone wants to grab a screenshot that's out there watching on YouTube, I'll post these also on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just search for Unbearable Sports, and I will post that stuff out there so you can have the little cheat sheet with you as you're watching. But yeah, like Jake Tongas to me too. Yeah, he's the second string fullback right now. listed as that. So it'll be interesting too to also see who plays fullback in this offensive scheme, because we haven't seen a true fullback out here, and what tight ends are going to be kind of playing that role in case if ever something were to happen to Blaze in game. Then we have a new tight end that can kind of switch over to fullback. So it's definitely something to watch out for. But for me, I have a lot of similar players. So Ryzen John, Chase Allen. So looking at those tight ends, I think that Chase Allen is an interesting case. So number 47, he's a big tight end. He's 6'6", 251 out of Iowa State. Reminds me a little bit of Jesse James, with just being that tall guy that literally only caught passes in the end zone. But you talked about this a little bit, where Justin Fields like to throw it to Jesse James. Justin Fields in college had his best friend, Jeremy Ruckert, always threw him in the end zone with touchdowns. Jeremy Ruckert did not do anything in between the 20s. He just did it outside of the 20s in the red zone. That's where he was kind of going in with everything. So next little pieces too. So Dazz Newsome, number 83, something that I want to be, I'm looking at Dazz Newsome. I don't know where he's going to be coming in, but Dazz Newsome has been looking good in camp. Another guy who is not Ryan Pace. He's a Ryan Pace guy, not a Ryan Poles guy, but I want to see what he's got. He's been making some good catches out there. He's been looking solid. So is he somebody that can make this roster? I felt like when they signed all those other wide receivers, he was as good as dead. Like, he's not going to be on this team. But now he's making plays and he's staying healthy, and he's taking advantage of the opportunity, which you love to see. But
yeah, I think the versatility of him with being a kick returner, punt returner, you know, he could stay on the team maybe that way. But yeah, I mean, if he can also play wide receiver, great.
Completely. And so the next player that's out there is Zachary Thomas. He's listed as our third string left guard, but also when we were out at training camp, it was Lachavious Simmons getting the snaps at left guard. So you have a Lachavious Simmons, I believe, a number 73 as the backup left guard. Why is Zachary Thomas the backup left guard at number 74? He's someone that you need to look at when everybody's kind of gone. So what we're kind of saying is, look at the tight ends, look at the linemen, and honestly, the running backs are just fun to watch when the backups are in. We're looking at Tuggle, and we're looking at Darrington Evans.
Yep.
Who has been good. And he's been looking good. It's just everybody else overshadows him because everybody else is looking more impressive. And Zachary Thomas, to me, why? This was a guy that a lot of us were saying, could he be the starting right guard when he was drafted? A handful of analysts were like, yeah, looks like he's going to beat out Dozier and he'll be your starting right guard. But now he's third string. So I just want to see, is there a problem with them? You don't hit on all your draft picks. Is this going to be someone that is just kind of struggling out there? So number 74, just someone to watch out for. But PayPal, anybody else that is on your offensive watch list?
Yeah, no one else. It's hard because there's so many wide receivers to watch, but
Yeah.
it's just who's gonna play. I think I would have had a lot more on my list. I think I would have had a lot less tight ends, but it's like I don't even know who's gonna be out there, so I don't want to say, here's this guy and then have him not even play. So, I mean, I'm excited to see Darrington Evans. I mean, he looked so good watching him in training camp when we went. It's just always in the back of my head. I don't know about you, Brad, but is the 53-man roster, like, who can actually make the team? And it's like you got to be very cutthroat. It's like, this guy's really good, but then you look at our three other like running backs. It's like, can Darrington Evans bring something different that Tristan Ebner can't bring, or vice versa? So we'll see. We'll see, like, if he's more explosive, or can he make a roster spot? But maybe he'll be that Ryan Knoll type of like guy where he's always on the practice squad for us, and he's kind of a fan favorite.
And I like having 4 running backs because I feel like they can they can play special teams. And I don't want to
True.
get rid of Darrington Evans right now with his contract. You're hardly paying the guy, and he's solid. And hopefully we can see that out of here. So, um, so Jeremy
Right.
said, basically, you're gonna be trying to watch every player on the team. So yeah,
Basically.
like that's the hardest part with all of this. And I think overall, like my suggestion from the offensive side of the ball is you watch the offensive line. I think that the offensive line is going to be the biggest thing. And to me, the way that I always watch it is the wide receivers I don't really care about because you don't see them running their routes anyways. So watch the offensive line, especially when you have like Teven Jenkins, number 76, Doug Kramer, 68 at center, Jatiri Carter at right guard, number 69. When you see those players out there, that's to me where it gets exciting because this line is so up in the air that it's going to be really interesting. But let's flip over to this defensive side of the ball. And actually, I'll move our faces real quick for those on YouTube if they want to nab a screenshot. But going over to the defensive side of the ball, my number one to look out for, he might even be in with the second string, and that's Micah Treadway, number 98. And just pretend like he's Bilal Nichols. This is a rookie that we have not seen anything on, but he's listed at second string defensive tackle. What does he got? Even like when we were watching that training camp, we didn't see much of him because, to be honest, I wasn't even really watching him that closely. But people are liking him out there. Clearly, the coaching staff likes him. But now, if you keep your eyes on that defensive line, which is always the easiest one to watch, Carson Taylor, number 59, is somebody to watch as well. Talked about him. High motor guy. And by keeping your eye on him, you want to see what he's capable of. I was tempted to even put like a Charles Snowden, number 49, out there. But Snowden, I believe, on the Bears depth chart was actually below some of them. Like he did not get any love. So I would say watch this defensive line, mainly on the interior with Micah Treadway, but look at the edges. See who's kind of battling for practice squad spots out there, because Carson Taylor, number 59, is someone definitely interesting to be watching. Now, next is the linebackers. And we don't know when these guys are going to be going in yet again, but Caleb Johnson, number 92. PayPal, you already talked about this. You were like, why is he not listed with the twos? He might be playing with the twos, but he might be playing at the end. And I just threw Jack Sanborn with the third string as well, number 57. Just keep an eye out for those players. And I think really the linebackers, this is just my take. I'm looking at the front seven as a whole because Caleb Johnson, Jack Sanborn, DeMarquise Gates, number 43, the guy that we just signed from the USFL. The reason why I'm looking at this is those guys are the people we're rotating in. Who looks good? Who looks bad on that front seven? Easy to watch and easy to kind of scout out. And last one that's on my list, number 37, Elijah Hicks, the rookie out of Cal, I believe. We haven't seen much of him so far. And I just want to see, what does he have? Can he stick around on this roster? Because right now he just looks like he's going straight to the practice squad. Or can he impress and kind of turn some heads? But PayPal, anything you want to say about my list?
I mean, basically, if I'm not mistaken, I basically have the same list as you do, but just less people. But yeah, I'm still shocked to see Caleb Johnson that low on the depth chart. We'll see if he's in the twos, the threes. I mean, even people that have not really been on this team or maybe even have less experience are playing ahead of him or are ahead in the depth chart. Because I mean, he's still learning. I mean, when he has been playing, he does look good. Still little things to clean up. He's been a good special teamer for us, which with his speed and kind of athleticism. But yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm just still you kind of said it before. I am excited too for this like linebacking crew. I think that's gonna be the main watch for me. Is just seeing who's out there, who's kind of being the first string, second string. third string type of guys and just see who really seems to be fitting in this team and who seems to kind of look like a chicken with their head cut off type of thing.
Completely. And that's where I kind of hope Roquan's not out there. And
yeah,
I would be surprised if he was actually out there. And these are also really hard to guess too, because there's no injury report. They're just people are not participating. So yeah, like if Roquan's not out there, you have Nicholas Morrow and Matt Adams, Joe Thomas, Caleb Johnson, Jack Sanborn. Like we didn't cover Noah Dawkins, but it's just that linebacker position is just interesting. Noah Dawkins and Jevin White might be the only linebackers not to pay attention to. 38 and 50, just exclude them from your memory. But still, like Noah Dawkins is actually probably going to be a special teams player for us. But that front seven to me is someone to be looking for sure. But yeah, just so that's it. And PayPal, you come on, and this is the first time I've broken past an hour in I don't know how long. Probably 2 episodes ago when you were on. And this to me, we have everything out there. So like I was telling everybody, make sure to follow Unbearable Sports at Unbearable Sport on Twitter. I know everybody watching on YouTube, I'll be posting these images, these screenshots that we have out there. I'll throw them into a PDF if you actually want to print it out or have it out there. I'll post it on Facebook, everywhere. Just search for Unbearable Sports. But Johnny PayPal, thank you again so much for breaking this down.
Of course.
I'm so excited to watch the game. We'll probably be watching the game together. And everybody out there, make sure to drink every single time that Matt Nagy comes on the screen. I'll be doing that. Make sure you're of age as well.
We'll see if he's wearing the visor too. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's big Matt Nagy thing. Let's see if he's wearing the visor or not.
Yeah. Does the visor come off now that he's like, yeah, I don't deserve this. Like puts it with all of his 57 play sheets. Just like, I don't deserve this anymore. And I seriously think they're going to show him more than Andy Reid. Like they're not going to show Andy Reid at all.
Yeah.
But it's going to be crazy. But boys, football is back. We're so excited. Thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. And Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bad chick.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.